Disclaimer, I'm not a professional. I don't have any certificates. I just simply used to move really bad, and now I move a little bit better. So, take what you want, leave what you don't, and you don't have to be a hero, just be consistent. Yeah, enjoy the ballpark. So one of the most common questions I get is about mobility. How can I move better? I train catchers all around the country of all ages, and what I see is, for most players, it's not a mechanical adjustment they need to make. It's not really even their mental process. They just don't move well enough to play the position well. And a lot of times, coaches will say something like, well, he just gets lazy back there when a ball gets past him. But in reality, if a player has physical limitations, the game is going to expose that. I used to be a terrible mover. I was 2 years into college until a coach so kindly pulled me aside and said, hey man, over Christmas break, you got to do something different. You got to move better. I didn't realize that if I wanted to, I can move so much better. So I'm going to show you some exercises that are going to help out tremendously, but before I do that, you need to understand these concepts. If you want to move better, and you're going to make this a priority because you want to see your potential come out on the field, if you want to do that, you need to have some sort of consistent mobility routine. It could look something like this. So you wake up and you have 10 minutes where you do some light stretching. And then before your weights, like a dynamic warm up, and then in between your sets, you set aside like 3 stretches that you're gonna do. Before practice, you have a little routine. After practice, you have a little routine. And then before bed, you have a little routine. None of these in and of themselves are very hard to pull off. What I see a lot of guys do is they want to move better, so once a week they'll do like some power yoga 45-minute session, just once a week. Over time, if you add all these up, the guy who is consistent gets this amount of mobility over the course of an off season, and the guy who does this once a week, he gets this amount. This guy feels like he's doing something. This guy feels like he's barely working, but he's getting so much more. That's the power of consistency. The second concept you should understand is compound, like compound interest. Getting to be more mobile is like rolling a really big rock. This is a rock. It's incredibly hard to get it going. But once you get the rock to turn over a couple times, then it starts to really get going and you don't have to do anything. Here are some things that you can add into your routine. They've been very helpful for me.
All right, this is a pigeon pose into a side lunge. It opens up the hips. You can add weight into it. I recommend it. This is a downward dog with a leg lift into a lunge with a twist. Downward dog is super helpful for opening up your hamstrings and low back. Same thing here. Stretching my hammy, and now I'm stretching my hip flexor on the knee that's down. Hamstring, and then, yeah, this is a 90-90 active range of motion movement. Active because I'm having to use my muscles to lift the leg. This is like a sissy squat. I can't recommend enough just doing a ton of these kinds of squats. Just a yoga position, warrior 1 into warrior 2. Spend some time there. You'll be absolutely cooking. This is a squat with another active lift. This is a Cossack squat. You can add, you can spend 30 minutes doing just these alone. It would be beneficial. You can lift your heels, you can add weight. It really plays in games. This is like a squat routine. So squat with an overhead lift, squat with a twist. Just spend time in a squat if you're a catcher. A ton of it. Internal rotations. You can call these whatever you want to, but if I'm going to catch out of this position, I'm going to find a way to make it really comfortable. More active range of motion stuff. Trying to keep everything tight and make room in my hips. I learned this from jiu-jitsu class. Just rolling around on the ground, being able to move through your hips, and it makes things a lot more fun as well. This is another active lift. Sometimes I'll do this stretch where I'll just have a cable pull me, and I'll just go right down the middle, or sometimes I'll lift my legs. Same thing here, it's an active lift with a frog. This one's gnarly, helps out tremendously. And then just spending time in a squat, once again, is the best. This opens up my hip flexors, can't recommend enough. This also opens up my hips.